Hey everyone, how's it going? Doombandit here, and welcome to a design discussion video about the new Hearthstone expansion, Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. It was just announced yesterday on November 4th at the BlizzCon opening ceremony, and they showed us some card previews and released more cards throughout the day, and I'm really excited about what they've shown us already, and I really want to make this video to kind of just share my thoughts about the approach that they decided to take going into this new expansion. So, the first thing that I want to cover is the fact that there are three families, fitting the theme of three families battling it out for the back streets of Gadgetzan, kind of all shady people. So the first one we have are the Kabbalist Priests, which go into Mage, Priest, and Warlock. The Grimy Goons, which go into Paladin, Hunter, and Warrior. The Jade Lotus, which go into Rogue, Shaman, and Druid. And I kind of made this little thing to show you what I think that each of these families will bring. So these cards will have a little symbol in the top corner. I couldn't find an image of it right now, but basically those cards with those symbols means that it can be used in any of those three classes. So this is kind of allowing for a new design space, basically, for cards that are able to be more flexible, that aren't like if they were in these three classes, but if they were in the other six classes, they would be broken. Well, we can just limit them to these three. And I'm loving that Blizzard decided that they can do this. And I'm really happy because I was getting kind of annoyed that I was like, oh, well, Priest could use this mechanic that's found in like mages. And now we're able to have that. So to go over it, the Kabbalist Priest, which has the Mage, Priest, and Warlock classes in it, seem to be more spell-focused. And that's really evident in their Legendary card, which I'll go over a little bit later in the video. And they seem to be very spell-focused and could bring a control meta, especially with these three classes. Priest traditionally just being a control class, not really having too many aggressive tools in their disposal. Warlock with the Handlock, and Mage with Freeze Mage and other sort of grinder mage deck lists. Mage is my favorite class, so I know a lot about that. And I think that having this type of, we'll just call it like wedge or the families, is going to really make it so that way we can focus control cards towards those classes while not giving one a super huge advantage over the other two. And the next one are the Grimy Goons, which seem to focus more on buff cards. Obviously, all these kind of cards haven't been released yet, but just going on the aesthetics, it seems like this is going to push a more aggressive meta within these classes, at least. Cards seem to have a lot of synergies in Paladin for buffs, so being able to buff your minions, the Pants Warrior, as Raynet had called it, or the Pants Paladin, as Raynet had called it, could see a resurgence. Hunter, traditionally aggressive class, could always use some new tools, especially with the rotations that'll be happening. And then Warrior, Pirate Warrior seems to be kind of getting a push forward by Blizzard recently. So with a lot of minion synergistic cards and buff focused cards being released within that family, that should be a very interesting change from the traditional Warrior style of control warrior that we've been seeing. Now the last class the last family is very interesting in my opinion. It's the most interesting to talk about, with the Jade Lotus. And I called this, I kind of defined them as the combo family, where you have Rogue, Shaman, and Druid. Now back in the day, Druid had Force of Nature Saboteur combo, Rogue combo is a mechanic in their class, and Shamans tend to need a couple cards to get together and can burst you down with a lot of overload damage, so they kind of combo their cards together in one turn and then take a hit on it the next turn. And I think this family is going to be very interesting because getting the mana synergistic cards from other classes, so getting a Rogue Innervate or a Shaman Innervate from Druid, or getting them Wild Grows, could be very interesting. And along with that, Druid having access to cards like Bloodlust, if they're able to make a commanding board presence, being able to get access to cards that have combo from Rogue, where Druids often, because of Innervate and their mana ramping cards, are able to play a lot of cards on one turn. So I really think that this is going to be a very interesting family to look out for, since they haven't released too many of the cards for these families yet, other than the Discover cards, where basically each family has a card where it says, hey, you can discover a card from any of these 3 classes. And I find that interesting because I'm curious as to how the class bonus works. I'm curious if they'll all be equal. So let's say you're playing a priest and you play the Cabal Courier. Is that going to give you an equal chance of getting a priest card as a mage card, or does priest get the 4 times bonus it normally does? Because I think that will kind of determine how playable they are in a way. Because definitely if you're a priest, you probably don't want to discover more priest cards. You're definitely playing that to try to get either better removal from mage, like a fireball or something like that, or direct damage, or perhaps something from warlock. You never know. So I'm curious as to how those occurrence bonuses work, but overall, the 3 families idea, making it so that way you can have cards that are accessed by a few classes but not all of them, is a great design idea, and I think this just opened a very big realm of possibilities for the next year going into whatever year 2 is called. Right now we're in the year of the Kraken, but whatever next year is, I'm really excited for it. This kind of reminds me of Khans of Tarkir from Magic the Gathering. If you played that, I won't go into that since this isn't a video about that, but basically they had 3 colors in Magic that were more heavily influenced in that year, and that was a really fun way to play because it was kind of new. And I think especially being able to give like the control and combo abilities to multiple classes without giving it to the ones that would abuse it too much, I think is going to be very cool. So I just really enjoy what they did here. And moving along, one of the design things that I think Blizzard had for a while was the fact that they had a rogue identity crisis, where in the grand tournament, Burgle came out, and we were kind of like, oh, it's Thoughtsteal, but with random class cards, so it might be a little bit better. Because often class cards can generally be of a higher power curve than just random cards, and sometimes if your opponent is playing just regular minions that aren't really going to help you, especially in the priest class where you really need to make sure that you're getting as much value as you can, Burgle could help you get a little bit more value, or maybe get a certain spell that you might need from that class. But this kind of set the precedent where Burgle wasn't a very strong card, so I think Blizzard ran away with it in Karazhan and made Swashbuckler. And this mechanic really was how thief was defined, or theft was defined, and I think they changed that this expansion. So as an example, I've showed the Lotus Assassin, which is a 5-mana 5/5 with stealth. Whenever this minion kills an enemy minion, gains stealth. Now, this at first I thought was going to be a 1 minion thing, but then I saw there was another card, which was a 6-mana 5/5, where whenever it attacked an enemy minion, you drew a card. So this means that theft is now implying trading with minions, or doing minion on minion combat, and gaining something out of that. And I think that that's amazing. And the fact that, and the reason I put Burgle some value is because with the card where you can trade into a minion and then you draw a card, that's gaining you value. And there might be some other ways that this encouragement of trading minions can just gain you a lot of value and possibly even tempo, especially with Lotus Assassin regaining stealth. That's really huge. And I'm curious, I don't know how good Lotus Assassin will be yet, since we haven't seen the rest, especially what will happen post-rotation. They haven't given us a set date on when this will come out. I'm assuming before January, so we'll definitely see all these cards in the meta that we have right now. But it's definitely something to look out for, and I'm just really happy that they're redefining the Rogue Burgle identity, because up until this point, it was so similar to the Priest one, and I just didn't think, I thought it was kind of a lazy design choice. So the fact that they are showing us this means that they're really keeping an eye out to make sure that redundancies like Burgle don't happen again. Now, speaking of Priest, could Blizzard be trying to make next year the year of the Priest? I think that they might be, especially with the families. So the Cabal's priests actually have this legendary Gadgetzan on the left, which has Battle Cry. If your deck has no duplicates, create a custom spell. So before Reno rotates out with this card and Reno in the meta, I think that Hand Lock is going to be off the charts, or Reno Lock, or Gadgetzan Lock now. And what it means by create a custom spell is you get to choose 3 things. So the first one is you get to choose the mana cost of your card. Now, you can choose from 1, 3, and 10. No, sorry, 1, 5, and 10. 1, 5, and 10 costs. And obviously, the higher up you pick, the other options that you get for the spell are going to be a lot more powerful. So like a 10 mana spell is obviously going to be insanely powerful, whereas the 1 mana spell might be more efficient, but not as powerful or as much value gained out of it. So this is the ultimate flexible card, basically. I believe, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I believe that there are 27 different spells you can create out of Gadgetzan. I'm sure that there are going to be some that are more powerful than the others, or the ones that are chosen more often. There is a video, if you want to go on YouTube and look it up, I might link it in the description, where they show him making a 10 mana spell that deals 6 damage to all minions and can draw you 3 cards, I believe. And seeing this option available for Priest, Mage, and Warlock is amazing, because I think that these classes are really going to benefit from this card. I think this will really make it so deck design is going to really shift within these classes, especially if the meta becomes more control-based. This card is going to be a must-include. However, along with that, Priest got Dragonfire Potion, which is dealing 5 damage to all minions except dragons. And I think this is going to be a great board control card. I think that this will help against the Miracle Rogues, which have always kind of been a repressor of Priest, when they're able to conceal the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, but after Light Bomb rotated out, which was a GVG card. And I think Dragonfire Potion really deals with the concealed Gadgetzan Tomb Pillagers. However, Azure Drake is still a really big issue for Priest to deal with. Since it has 4 attack and 4 health, it survives both of the board clears and isn't affected by Shadow Word, Pain, or Death. I personally think like Azure Drake is above the power curve, and I think that it's just a card, evidently, that Priest is going to have to deal with basically all of its existence, since it's a classic card, unless they decide to change it. But overall, I think Dragonfire Potion is a great concept for Priest, because they needed a more powerful board clear than Excavated Evil, especially because that's getting rotated out. But along with that, to deal with the aggressive decks, they've decided to include Potion of Madness, which is, I think, going to be a great card since it's at 1 mana, which is gain control of an enemy minion with 2 or less attack until the end of turn. And that means that you are going to be able to shut down Face Hunters a lot earlier than you need to. Kindly Grandmother, if you steal that and trade it in, you now have a 3/2 and you cleared off your opponent's board. So, I don't know if it'll be a 2 of in every deck, but I definitely think that Potion of Madness is going to see constructed play. And I think that if these type of tools come out for Priest in Force, this expansion and the next one after, I really think that next year we could see some very strong Priest decks available. Especially with Justicar Trueheart being removed from the meta once TGT rotates out. The Control Warrior won't be as easily able to repress the Mage by going to Fatigue and that sort of thing. So I just think that based on the preview cards that we've seen already, we've seen about 34 cards. I really think that Priest is going to be strong this year, and it was definitely a focus after the letdown that Gadgetzan was, unfortunately. And I really think that Blizzard is trying to push them in a good direction of being able to be a controlling class that has the tools necessary to keep up in the early game. And that's evident with some of the other minions I don't have featured on the screen. I think that all they're missing right now is a 2-drop for Priest. But who knows, maybe we'll see that in this as this expansion gets released, or in the next expansion. So my final thoughts on the mean streets of Gadgetzan are that I was not excited. Well, I was looking out for this, and I was scared that it was going to be another Karazhan. And I really think that the community was able to tell Blizzard, hey, we're kind of tired of all these random effects. This didn't feel like a new expansion with Karazhan. It kind of just felt like, hey, let's make portals and try out new stuff, kind of, and make it so that way you're adding more random cards to your hand with Babbling Book and Swashbuckler. And I don't think it did enough for the meta. And then with the nerfs and mid-range shaman becoming so prevalent, I'm very interested to see where everything goes. I'm interested to see if Dragon Priest will actually be a thing, because with Blackrock Mountain being rotated out, we're losing a lot of the big dragon synergies in Blackwing Corruptor. You don't have Brand to combo with a lot of the battle cries, but those are also being rotated out, so they're in a pair together. Chill Maul will be rotating out, so you're not going to have that late game taunt and board clear. So we'll really have to see what else they do, but I think that with a lot of these early game removal tools in the Potion of Madness, and if they release at least one more board clear, I do think that Priest will be very, very strong coming up. And I just think that the 3 families was a design choice that I did not see coming. I did not see them wanting to do that. However, I am very happy that they decided to. I think that this just opened up 3, like, you can think of it as them opening up 3 new classes to design cards for, you know? It allows for a little bit of flexibility on these cards, so that way they're not just designing everything to be a base, like a neutral or a specific class card. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Very excited to see what other announcements come out as the World Championship goes on and in the coming months. Hopefully we get a release date soon, because I really, really want this expansion now. Okay, anyway, that'll be it from me. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.